Hi, I'm Kim,
And I'm Brie.
and we're the TBI
TBI
Rockstars.
And we're still brain injured.
It's true. Today we are going to talk about what happens after you stop working.
How to cope.
How to cope with not working any longer. It's quite a change from working for someone else for 40 hours a week, being focused, having a job, and then not.
And then nothing.
Nothing.
Crushing emptiness. Lack of identity. Sitting at home all the time. It's brutal.
It can be. So we thought we would talk about, as Brie said, how to cope.
How to cope.
My first piece of advice is to accept it. Don't deny it's going on. Don't say, oh, it's only going to be for a week. Accept that your time of working is over. It's done, at least for right now. And it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. And your life's going to be different.
And this is what's happening, and that's okay.
Yeah, you're still a worthwhile human being, even if you're not working for money.
Totally worth the time and space that you are occupying on the planet.
Yes. Good point.
So, do you want to give a little recap of your transition from working to not working?
I guess I could. I stopped working June 6th of 2016. I had my job for 9 years, and I had a rough transition. Even though I'd slowly tapered down the number of hours I was working, like not having access to that work environment, the vision of myself as a worker, and the casual social interaction that happens at work.
So important. Like, you just don't realize, right?
Right. It was just really different. It took me months to adjust. I flailed around for a while. I think it's just part of the changing. It just takes a while to get used to. I'm kind of a slow changer, adapter.
So you had your concussion and you kept working for a long time.
I did.
After.
Several years.
And for you, it was more like finally accepting that to heal you had to stop working.
I just simply couldn't work any longer. I just overdone it too many times.
And it was making your symptoms worse.
Yes, it definitely was.
So I did the opposite, where I had to stop working almost as soon as I got injured. I pushed for about a month, and that fell apart really quick. And I very quickly had to transition into being home all the time. And I do some part-time work now, but I have not, it's been almost 4 years, and I have not gone back to full-time work yet. And I think for me, I've spent a lot of that time hoping and thinking that, like, I'm close, that the therapies that I'm using and the healing I'm doing, like, it's right around the corner. Like, just give it like another month and I'll be in there like gangbusters. And I think now I'm having that dawning realization, now that I'm almost 4 years in, that, like, this might be what's going on.
Yeah.
So what do you think has helped you cope?
I think, like, being able to finally set up my life so that I can support my healing. So the reason I stopped work wasn't so I could clean the house. It wasn't so I could take care of other people. I stopped working because I couldn't work and maintain my health or heal. So the purpose of me not working, my new job, people tell me this, I find it frustrating, but in this case I'm going to share it with you. My new job is to heal and to make healthy choices. Make healthy choices that improve my experience, blah, blah, blah. You know, but so if you're going to not work, then accept that you're not working because you're injured and you need to heal, which means not giving your energy to everyone else.
Right, like, make that time count. Make it count towards your healing journey.
Because I think there's always people who are going to want things from you or it's always more convenient for people if someone else does the grunt work or, whatever. So don't be that person because although you might be able to do a little bit, you need to save that energy for yourself and your healing.
Right. There's always a price you pay when you take on those extra tasks.
Yes. You only have so many spoons. There's only so much energy in the world that you have. So use it on things that really matter to you.
So what's the thing that you have found is like the most challenging about not working?
Having a purpose in life. I don't have children, so I don't have some like ready-made, reason thing I've produced in this world.
You have fur babies.
I have cats. Still not necessarily what I would call the meaning of my life. I spent a lot of time at work, and I did a lot with my work, but now I don't. So I think, like figuring out what my purpose is or what I'm going to do if I'm not a little worker bee.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm very much a worker bee sort of personality.
You're always doing, like, even when you're not at work, you're like, oh, let's just do this project. Like,
I do okay. I pace myself.
Yep.
How
Well,
about you?
I feel like the hardest part for me has been lack of socializing. That I tend to be a very verbal person, a very outgoing person. I am the person people invite so that there's someone talking at a party. And suddenly I found myself just sitting in my living room, and I live in a rural area. And so it was me, myself, and I was isolated to the point that I would really struggle to get myself to a grocery store or, like sometimes my big adventure of the day was like, I made it to the gas station, I bought a snack, and I talked to the cashier.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying those are the best days of life, but I mean, we find ourselves in the situation we find ourselves in, and you do what you need to do to get a little socializing or to cope with what you're going through. And I think for me, there's really been this piece of like, I used to be a horseback rider, and I used to go sailing regularly. I used to go hiking all the time. Sometimes I do all three in a day. Those were like the best days of my life. And there's so many identities there that I've really had to give up, not because I chose to, but because my head is better all the time, but it's still not better enough to really do those things again. And so I feel like the name of your blog, The Foggy Shore, is so aptly named because there's like this one shore where you've got all those old identities, and you're just swimming, and for a while you're just kind of like, well, I'm swimming, I don't even know what direction I'm going in. And now that I'm 4 years into recovery, almost 4 years, I feel like I'm just starting to get a glimpse of that opposite shore. And my identity is really different. There's smaller things in some ways, right? Like I play with my horse on the ground now. I don't really ride him. Or like I'm able to garden a little bit this summer. I've healed enough to garden some. There's like smaller things that go in there. And I think about like the blanket that you crocheted. And I think there's this really important piece of work to do around it where you find a new identity.
Eventually.
Yep.
With a lot of time. And kind of flailing around. I've had a lot of different hobbies. And I haven't necessarily settled on any of them. But you got to try new things that are within your ability to stay sane. There's nothing else you can do.
So here is to flailing through it. Flail away. Flail on.